So in this Dharma study group, we're having a discussion about the Bodhidharma's Bloodstream sermon. So I'll just read this text again and then talk about some of the questions that are coming up. The Bloodstream sermon. Everything that appears in the three realms comes from the mind. Hence, Buddhas of the past and future teach mind to mind without bothering about definitions. So then a student asks, but if they don't define it, what do they mean by it? And then Bodhidharma responds, you ask, that's your mind. I answer, that's my mind. If I had no mind, how could I answer? If you had no mind, how could you ask? That which asks is your mind. Through endless kalpas without beginning, whatever you do, wherever you are, that's your real mind. That's your real Buddha. This mind is the Buddha, says the same thing. Beyond this mind, you'll never find another Buddha. To search for enlightenment or nirvana beyond this mind is impossible. The reality of your own self-nature, the absence of cause and effect, is what's meant by mind. Your mind is nirvana. You might think you can find a Buddha or enlightenment somewhere beyond the mind, but such a place doesn't exist. Trying to find a Buddha or enlightenment is like trying to grab space. Space has a name, but no form. It's not something you can pick up or put down, and you certainly can't grab it. Beyond this mind, you'll never see a Buddha. The Buddha is a product of your mind. Why look for a Buddha beyond this mind? So that's a translation of this text called the Bloodstream Sermon and translated by Red Pine. And the question came up about mind and the contents of mind. So, are these two different things? And I think that we look at this and we can say, okay, I can experience peace and calm and quiet when I'm sitting in meditation, on the cushion, zazen, doing my practice, and I can get into a really quiet state. And then, so this is recognizing true nature, the true nature of mind, the open, spacious quality of mind, who I really am, this mind. And I can experience that on the cushion. But then, what happens when I start being active and going about my daily activities and things get busy and there are phone calls and emails and people to talk to and lots of interruptions and bills to pay and places to go and food to prepare, and life is busy. There's a lot that we have to do, especially if you're not a monk, you don't live in a monastery, you can't sit for extended periods. And so the mind then gets filled up, and this is just a way of talking about this. We get busy. We get a lot of things on our mind. There's a lot of speed. Driving, for example, it takes, it requires a lot of attention, and things are happening very quickly. And then there are emotions and thoughts, and all of this stuff is coming up every day, and we're dealing with this. And this is life. Because we live busy lives. So it seems like on the one hand we have this quiet experience of open, spacious mind, and we can see, oh yeah, okay, that's Buddha mind. But then we have this other thing happening where the mind seems to get filled up with contents, like the thoughts and the feelings. And what is that? Because when that's happening, then we don't experience this kind of tranquil peacefulness. Things are very busy. So we're trying to see the mind through all the clutter of the discursive thought. And I was driving to work this morning, and it was foggy, and so the visibility is limited, and yet I know that somewhere out there the sun is shining. It's just that I can't see it. I think it's the same kind of thing, like that we get so busy, and our mind is very active, full of thoughts and feelings. And so we don't have the experience of this open, spacious Buddha mind. And I think this is why it's so important to keep sitting. Just keep sitting and coming back to our true nature. And then little by little we can try to simplify. Once heard Kenshin started teaching with just this word. He said, simplify your life. And so much of our complications are self-created. We create our complications, whether it's through trying to push things away or pull things in, aversion or attachment. I like this, I don't like that, I want more of that, I want less of that. And so if we really are honest, we're creating our own complications. Like, do I really need to be reading the news and following all this stuff on my phone or my computer? Is it really necessary? Actually, it's probably more just a habit of thinking. So what if I just stop doing all of these extra things that I don't really need to do and focus on the one thing that is the essential thing? And then beyond that, I think it's good to remember that as soon as we have this mind, this idea of mind, that becomes a thing. But the mind is not a thing. And if we start looking for it, we're not going to find it. And we're not going to figure this out intellectually, because mind is a word, it's just a concept. It's not the experience. So talking about it is not the experience of it. And we see this in so many of the old stories. The koans from ancient China. A monk will get stuck in confusion, and then the teacher will help him unravel the confusion. And this is over and over. We see this in the koans. Our thoughts are basically delusions, and we're attached to our thoughts. So Zen is really about letting go of our thoughts. This is from Andy Ferguson, Zen's Chinese Heritage, and he's writing about Matsu. A monk asked, "Master, why do you say that mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop babies from crying." The monk said, "What do you say when they stop crying?" Matsu said, "No mind, no Buddha." The monk asked, "Without using either of these teachings, how would you instruct someone?" Matsu said, "I would say to him that it's not a thing." The monk asked, "If suddenly someone who was in the midst of it came to you, then what would you do?" Matsu said, "I would teach him to experience the great way." So, mind is Buddha. This is a teaching, but it's only one form of teaching, and it's not the thing itself. So then he says mind is Buddha, but then there's no mind and there's no Buddha. It's not a thing. So he's saying it's not a thing. Experience the great way. And then here's another story. I just love this one. And this is an example of how someone's confusion just unraveled suddenly without any kind of anticipation or struggle or trying. It was just accidentally this thing happened. So this is from Gateless Gate, and this is Koun Yamada's translation. This is from the fifth case, Kyogen's man up a tree. And in the commentary, Koun Yamada Roshi tells this story about Kyogen. Kyogen was a disciple of Isan, one of the founders of the Igyo sect of Zen in China. He was a very intelligent and learned man, but his erudition must have been a hindrance, for he did not come to enlightenment early. So for really intelligent, smart people who are thinking, sometimes this is a place where we get stuck. Too much thinking. trying to figure it all out. So Isan knew this about his student, Kyogen. Isan said to Kyogen one day, "What is your essential face before your father and mother were born?" Kyogen could not answer on the spot, so he went back to his books to check. He searched through all his books, sutras, and lecture notes for a sentence or passage he could use as an answer, but not one satisfied him. Looking for the answer in books. Finally, he went to Master Isan and said, "I don't know the answer. Please tell me what it is." And Isan said, "It would not be difficult for me to tell you, but if I did, you would doubtless reproach me later." The master replied. So this led Kyogen to reflect that an empty stomach cannot be filled with pictures of food, and so he burned all his books and notes. Despairing of ever being able to come to a true knowledge of Buddhism in this life, he vowed to spend the rest of his days seeking peace of mind in manual labor. In this depressed state, he left Isan and retired to a place in Nanyo, where the national teacher Echu had once lived in a hermitage. Here Kyogen also took up the life of a hermit. He got discouraged and gave up. He just stopped trying and decided, "I'm never going to figure this out. The answers are not in books. I'm just going to go live as a hermit and do manual labor." And yet, all of this stuff was still churning around inside of him. His teacher gave him this question, and it was just eating at him. One day, as he was clearing the undergrowth, a pebble bounced off the tip of his broom and resounded against a bamboo tree. Hearing the sound, Kyogen suddenly experienced great enlightenment. He returned to his hut, where he performed ablutions and offered incense in profound gratitude. Then he prostrated himself in the direction in which Isan lived, saying, "Master, your kindness is far deeper than any of my parents. If you had explained these things to me at that time, I would never have had this wonderful joy." His teacher let him discover it for himself, and this is really the only way. We have to awaken on our own. And here he was sweeping and had this moment of quiet. His mind was clear. He wasn't thinking about anything. And then all of a sudden, the pebble hit a bamboo, hollow piece of bamboo. And just that, he realized that the clarity and the open spaciousness, this amazing fact, and all of a sudden that was all it took. So it wasn't through books, it wasn't through anything else, it was just that one moment, that thing. So I hope this was helpful. Please continue to ask questions and make comments, and hope you have a great day today. Many blessings.